I mean, when did this idea kind of first come across your desk, as it were?
You know, about 8 years ago, I saw a documentary called Deep Water, which is about this story, and I walked out of it just staggered. It was by a very talented documentary filmmaker named Jerry Rothwell, and I called my agent the next day and said, I really want to tell this story as a scripted movie.
Was there a lot of, I mean, I can imagine there was a lot of planning involved, 8 years ago. Was there a lot of research and a lot of going through kind of the family history and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, the documentary filmmakers were very generous, sharing, all sorts of things with me, and so that was a big help. And then I looked at newspaper clippings, and, it was such a big story here. In the States, people don't really know about this, but it was such a big story here, and it wasn't that long ago, so you're able to access a lot of information.
And I mean, working with James, he's come off of Theory of Everything, lots of other things. I mean, how closely do you guys collaborate on this one?
James and I spent a lot of time together. He had not spent much time sailing, and I do sail, so he came out to California, and I put him in a boat and took him out on the ocean. But James and I, going into the movie, spent a lot of time together.
Yeah. And in terms of the casting, I mean, was Colin someone that when you were writing the project, you thought of him immediately, or did he kind of come as the process?
Colin was in my head when I was writing it. I actually met with Colin about 5 years ago in Toronto to talk to him about the movie, and I found out that he was as big a fan of the story as I am, and it's just extraordinary when you get to work with an actor who knows the world that well and has thought about it and has such a deep connection with the material.
And there's some amazing sequences on the boat stuff. I mean, when you saw them for the first time kind of come to life, what was your reaction? Because some of them are really intense.
As a person who sails, I think I relate to them. For me, I'm like very much about the verisimilitude of the sailing, and Colin, I think, also sails a bit. So it was great, and I think loneliness is sort of the big character in this, and he really dug into that in a way that, as a writer, you can only hope that your actor is going to do that.
Yeah. Finally, I wanted to ask you about your collaborations with Steven Soderbergh. I've just seen the trailer of his new film that he shot on an iPhone, which looks
Unsane.
Pretty intense. I think you're going to work with him again on a couple of things. Are any of those projects kind of close to coming to fruition?
Yeah, there's a movie that we're hoping to make in the fall about the Panama Papers. But yeah, Unsane is really great. Steven remains the most talented person I've ever met. So
the trailer certainly looks intense.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies that's just come out of nowhere that he shot on an iPhone. It's kind of crazy.
I think the big lesson I've learned from him in my life is he is always willing to reinvent, always willing to try a new thing, and I think that's really inspiring to be around.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey!